Today I'm going to show you how to fix a Kuat bike rack. What happens with these, this is the extension, the 2-bike extension that goes on the standard 2 NV20 Kuat bike rack. So you probably had this happen. These are supposed to ratchet to keep the bike on the bike rack. But as you can see, this one is just easily going in and out. So it doesn't ratchet down onto the tire like it's supposed to. It's working correctly. You depress this button and pull it out, and as you push it down, it ratchets and won't come back up. I'm going to show you how to fix that today. First thing we have to do is to take the this collar off, and you'll need a 4mm Allen wrench, and there's a bolt, and there's a nut on the other side that will probably come out. Sometimes it stays in, but it should be easy enough to get it out. And once you've got the bolt out, you want to have this slid up just a little bit, and then it's one piece, but you just have to kind of spread it apart and take it out like that. And then you can see the nut that's still in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this back in just so I don't lose it. So we'll need that a little bit later. I'm going to set that aside. Next up, we're going to remove this assembly. And so there are two little plastic pieces here that probably, if you just kind of use your fingers, or you might need to just get a screwdriver in there, but there are these two plastic pieces that should come out as an assembly like that. We're just going to take this thing all the way out, and looks like that. And these two plastic pieces will come off like that. One has the little ridges, which is where the ratcheting takes place, and the other one is like that. We're going to clean these up in a minute, and I'll show you the problem. So here's the problem with the thing that's broken right now. Is this is the ratcheting piece that goes on that other plastic piece. You can see that these are the ridges. There are little notches in this plastic piece, and this is the thing that ratchets. But it's supposed to stay in this out position, and the problem is that there's a spring right here, and you can see that this is corroded and rusted, and so that spring is broken. So I'm going to take this apart and show you what that looks like. So the way we're going to take this apart, there's a little pin right here that just goes through and holds the spring in this little assembly in place. And it's pretty easy to get out. If you got some sort of block or something to elevate that, it's helpful. And it's probably not too hard to get it out. I've got a punch, or you can use a screwdriver, and I'm just going to push that thing out, and the pin comes out the other side. It's not pressed in, it's just it's in there, and once you slide the assembly back in, it can't get out, so it's captured by the sleeve of the Kuat rack. So now I've got that out, and then I can just slide this piece out, and it has this little piece right here and this spring that goes on, and this is what operates the button on the top is what operates this and pushes it up and down so that you can release the ratchet. And so now I'm going to take this apart because I've taken the pin off, and only just a few pieces, and this spring is the problem. So you can see this thing is broken, and this is probably the I'm not sure why they didn't make this out of stainless or something that doesn't rust, but it's a weak part. This other spring is in good condition, but this one gets a lot of action and will break, and that's typically what's creating that non-ratcheting thing. And so this is I don't know, this is probably a $1 or $2 piece that is responsible for keeping your $6,000, $8,000 mountain bike on the rack. So too bad that's not a little bit beefier piece of stainless steel or something. Okay, so here's the broken spring. The two pieces of the broken spring used to be one, and so there are a number of ways you can do this to fix this. If you've got a hardware store nearby, go have a look. They may have some springs. They may have one that's like this. You may have to take one and modify it, or at the very least, you can get some spring wire from them. However, since many of us are do-it-yourselfers, I happen to have some old spokes here from a wheel rebuild. So I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to make a spring out of it. I made one earlier, and this is what it's going to look like. So we're going to take the spoke, we're going to turn it around the screwdriver, we're going to make a spring, and then I'll cut it to length. So if you've got a vise, I don't happen to have a vise set up right now, but so I've put my screwdriver here, Phillips head screwdriver, under a clamp. If you've got a vise, you can do that. And then what you want to do is just put it over that and just hold one side, and then take this and just kind of go around a couple of times like that. Then you can slide it apart, and then you've got basically a spring that you've created. I think this spring will probably last longer than the original one because it has some paint on it, better than that mild steel spring. So then what we're going to do next is to just straighten this up a little bit, and then we'll cut it to fit, cut it to length, and we'll put everything back together. Okay, here are the bits and pieces. These are the two halves of the assembly that goes in there, and that's the spring that goes on there. We'll set that aside for a minute. That's the pin. Set that aside. Here are the two springs that I made. So I'm just going to pick one of these. And to take these apart, you can see that that piece is going to go in there, and you may have to squish this a little bit to get it to fit in. And we just need to kind of mark how long it needs to be. If you want, you can put this pin in while you're trying to figure out the length, but you can see that this is too long, so we're going to just cut it down to here probably. I think the original one probably fit just kind of in there somewhere. It just needs to be up in this area, and it won't interfere with anything else once it's in that area. So this side is the shorter one, so I might just measure from that side. So right there, it can be about that long, and this isn't terribly critical, so I'm just going to cut that, and then do the same thing over here. Again, not terribly critical. So there we go. And this goes in here. And this piece is going to slide on the outside. I'm going to hold it out here first and put this pin back in for the moment, just to kind of test it. This can be a little bit fiddly as you're trying to get everything lined up, but now you can see I've got my spring in there, and it is springing back out now. So the next thing is just to put it all back together and slide it in there. We'll try to get a close up. It's a little bit fiddly getting everything lined up and getting the pin back in, but we're almost done. Okay, we've got all the pieces ready to go back together, but before we put it back together, I just want to show you there's another piece, a couple pieces inside here that may come out while you're doing the spring fix operation. So I just want to show you how to get those back in. Again, they may not come out. There's this one little plastic piece, and there's this this rod here, this sort of push rod with these tapered ends. It may be hard for me to show you, but if you can get a flashlight, kind of look down in here, you can see the there's like a little socket where this rod goes, and it's easier to just hold it up and down like this to get that piece in there. You sort of just drop it in, and then look and see if it's in. There's a little socket in there, and you can tell if it's in there. And then this piece goes back in, and the way to tell which way this goes in is that This is the ratcheting piece. The hole for the ratchet is right there. And this piece goes in right there. And so that whole assembly goes in that direction. So this is going to go in this way. And the same thing, you're going to just turn this piece like that and drop it in there. And you might have to push it down in a little bit. And you can stick your finger in here to push it down a little bit. It might just drop down into place. And then once it's in there, you can press this button here and you can feel the that push rod is pushing that plastic piece up. So once it's down in there, it should stay there. You probably don't need to take that out, or it may come out when you're doing this, but it's pretty easy to put it back in if it does come out. Okay, now we're ready to put everything back together. We want to make sure that the spring is on there. It goes either way, which is fine. You've got your pin here, and we're going to put this the spring in the direction it goes here. And put that back together. Now this is the fiddly bit, so you're trying to hold this together and keep this assembly together even though you don't have the pin in, because you have to get it inside here before you can put the pin in. So things are going to move around. You're trying to keep these holes lined up, and you're trying to keep the hole in the spring that you made lined up as well. So again, it gets a little bit fiddly, so we're going to slide this in. Make sure that rod goes down in the right spot. And we just push it in, and this is where things get a little bit fiddly. What I like to do is to get it somewhat lined up, and then I take the punch that I used before, or a screwdriver, and put that through, and so that should hold it. You can also use an Allen wrench. It's nice if you get one that really kind of fills up the hole at the beginning, but if it's too big, it won't work. So put that in, and then from the other side, what I like to do is sort of push the pin in from here. So again, this is the fiddly bit. You kind of have to look to see, push in with your finger a little bit and kind of get it started, and you sort of have to just keep getting things lined up. And so we have a little bit of a start there, but then what we got to do is to look from up top to see what we need to do to line it up. And it helps if you can put the pin down on a surface like that, because then you can kind of line it up from the top. And then as you do that, you can sort of push down while you're doing it and eventually get the pin to come up through this spot. So that's gone a little bit. So I can see that spring is a little bit in the way. So I'm going to push this down a little bit further and keep pushing down. And I've almost got it there. I have to just push that in a little bit and move it. And as I push down, you can see that the pin is all the way through now. And then you can see that the spring is pushing back into place now. So our ratcheting has been fixed. So we'll put it in the we'll put the plastic pieces back on next, and then we'll slide it back in. Okay, these are the two plastic pieces that we took off, and obviously one of the ridges goes on the side with the ratchet. So they go not that way, they go this way. And then this one goes here. I clean these up a little bit. Soap and water is fine, or a little bit of alcohol, just to get the dirt off. And these are going to go back together like this, and then we slide it back in. Before we do that, I'm going to show you one of the things that I like to do with these. You can do it while it's out, but you can also do this as a little bit of maintenance anytime you want. So get a little bit of wax. I've got some car wax here, and a little paper towel. Just get a little bit of wax, and I'm going to spread it on this aluminum. And it kind of, over time, this aluminum, which is anodized, it starts to wear a little bit. This one got chewed up by one of the pedals. But just put a little bit of wax on there, and then you can wipe it off. You're not trying to get a high shine or wax the car or anything, just get a little bit of, and that makes it a little bit slippier and easy to go in and out. And you can do that anytime, even when these are installed. Okay, now the plastic pieces. Again, the one with the ratchets goes right here next to that ratchet piece, and then those go on like that. And then we're just going to slide this whole assembly back into the bike rack. Okay, we're ready to put this back in. We're going to slide this whole assembly in, and you just want to make sure that the hook is going the right way. Look at the other one that's on there, assuming you've only taken one off, but you should be able to figure out which way it's going to capture the front wheel. So we take this and we just, sometimes you have to squeeze these together. Just going to slide the whole assembly down in like that until these pieces are nice and flush right there. And then you can, even before we put the collar back on, you can hear that ratchet is working. So the next thing we do is to put the collar piece back on. So we get our collar and our 4mm Allen wrench. Just pull that bolt back out. Make sure the nut is on there. And then this has a little bit of a flange right here, and it matches up with the flange right here. So pretty easy to see which way it goes on. There are a couple little bumps here that go into the little notch right there. So that's how you know when you've got it on. And I find it easier to slide in over this and then slide it down. And then it goes together. Again, make sure that nut is still in there. Put this in. Tighten it up. You should be able to get it to be super tight, but just so that's clear that all it does is keep the plastic bits from coming out. And there you go. Your ratchet is all fixed.